Okay, I propose that we start. So hello everyone and welcome to this interactive webinar on how to plan agile programs in Jira with Ativo Agile Programs for Jira. I'm very excited to have you all here. And I've sent you the handouts before this session so you can use them. If you don't find them, let me know in the chat. I will keep an eye on the chat. Or you can unmute your microphone. It's an interactive session, so don't hesitate to ask a question. There will also be a main question and answer session at the end of this webinar. So to maybe present myself first, I'm Edwin Rosy. I'm the founder of Ativo.io. And I have more than 10 years of experience in program, project, and change management. I started in classical program and project management methodologies like Prince2 and MSP, managing successful programs. And I've shifted more and more towards Agile and Scrum methodology. So today I'm a certified SAFe advanced Scrum Master. Any other SAFe fellows here or program manager certified? You can let me know in the chat or with your mic. No, okay, don't be shy. So what will we cover today? So this, again, this webinar session is on how to plan agile programs in Jira. It will take 1 hour and it will contain interactive exercises so you get a hands-on experience. Wojtek is a program manager. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing. I will first do a short introduction on agile program planning and show you the configuration of Ativo Agile Programs for Jira. And after that, we will dive into the exercises so you can learn and experience more about planning features, dependencies, issues, risks, and progress reviews in Jira yourself. So that's the idea of this session, that you get this hands-on experience, that you all play the role of a program manager. You will manage Ola is a SAFe Scrum Master, great. You will manage 2 teams today. So we've prepared a set of programs, 20 actually, in the training tool. So you will all be able to work on your own data. I think that will give you the best experience. And you can also find the login for this exercise, for this interactive session in the email. And you can let me know in the chat if you haven't received it. I can send you the login as well via the chat. So if there are no questions so far, I will start with the short introduction on program planning, because the first question we could ask and say, okay, yeah, but do we really need program planning in an agile organization? Because if you look, for example, at the Agile Manifesto and you say, okay, you want to promote change, you don't want to follow plans, yeah, that's a bit against having a plan. You want to promote human interaction instead of a process or tool. So yeah, doing a program planning, that's actually a process, right? So that's the first question that some people sometimes ask. And the correct answer to this is you will need a program planning to a certain extent, because if you have a program of 100 persons, if you try to organize it without any processes, structure, plans, or tools, you will see it's practically not possible. So the message here is to do the planning, the program planning, but in an agile way. So with the maximum of human interaction, with a minimum but still necessary amount of written documentation. We don't want to write a program plan in a book, like we would do in a waterfall project or program. I want to create a plan that's open for change. And if we do that, we do see some benefits. So the first benefit that you then see is that you have a common understanding between IT and business. And I think this is something that I heard I think this is something important, because I heard a few times in organizations that's moving towards agile that there's certain parts of the organization that's saying, for example, the management that's saying, yeah, but now that we're doing agile, we have all these post-its, we have all these Kanban boards, we have all these demos, but yeah, I don't see the big picture. I'm a bit losing the touch, and I'm losing the understanding of where you exactly are, what you're doing. So that's one point of feedback that you can address with an agile program plan. Second thing that can help, of course, is that you can improve your delivery if you will handle issues and risk properly. Because in any program, the planning is usually the easy part. It's the execution afterwards that's the most challenging, where you have the risks that are materializing, where you have issues. So if you can identify those up front, you win time. What's also important is the dependencies that you can manage in a program planning. And you can, by doing that, you can avoid frustration in the team. So, and I think also that's a quite common challenge happening in a lot of organizations, because even you have dedicated teams, you cannot avoid that multiple teams are working on the same feature, because you have some expertise that are specific in some teams. You have some teams, that work for a lot of projects or programs at the same time. So there is then these dependencies. And when you have dependencies at one moment, when there is sufficient time pressure, at one moment you will have the question if a team will work for its own feature or for the feature of another team. And to manage all that, it's important that you keep an overview of the dependencies, because obviously it's the business who will decide which feature and which dependency takes priority, but they can only decide if they see the dependencies, if they have a good visual on it, because otherwise it will be very confusing and quite frustrating if there's last minute dependency popping up all the time and they have to mitigate it all the time, a bit in firefighting mode. So having this dependency overview really helps. And lastly, and also very important, I think, is that you can increase the happiness in your teams and the productivity in your teams if you increase the transparency by doing a program planning. And it's already, it's an old publication of Friedrich Herzberg, already in 1968, that published a research that was called, one more time, how do you motivate employees? It was sold 1 million, it had 1 million reprints, and he explains that if you want to really motivate people, you have to recognize them, you have to make them responsible, and if you give this transparency to the, oh, there is someone, yeah, if you give this transparency to the team and to the team members, and you let all the team members participate in a program planning exercise, you will give them responsibility and you will motivate them. So that's also, I think, a quite important benefit that I've seen myself in multiple organizations when people are participating in the program planning. So that's, I think, why it's even in agile organizations still important to do a program planning. Now the next question would be, yeah, okay, we will do a program planning, but how do we do it? And I will inspire myself here on SAFE. So for Wojtek and for Fola, I think this is for you already common ground. I will cover it quickly. We will come back to the exercises. Some others of you already probably know this as well, but if we do a program planning, it will start actually, and that you will see at the top left, with a list of features or epics, however you call them, prioritized by the business that needs to be implemented in the coming period. And with period, we usually mean the coming months, because we still want to promote a program plan that can change easily. So we don't want to plan 1 year or 2 years detailed upfront, of course not. We just plan the next period or the next program increment, as we say in SAFE. So at the top left, you have the product manager. At the bottom, you have multiple teams. So here in the visual, you have 2 teams. And those teams that will do, we have a SAFE Scrum Master, Ola Fola. Yes. In these, so these 2 teams, they will do the planning actually of the stories that are under these features and epics, and they will plan it in their sprints on their backlog. So that's at the bottom of this slide. And at the top right, you have the program manager that is a facilitator in the program planning exercise. And that also is concerned usually about the escalation of issues and risks. And at the top of the slide, you have the program board, and it's there that we will do the consolidation of the program plan. So when the teams are planning in their stories, in their backlogs, and they say, okay, we've planned in all the stories of a certain feature, and we've talked with the other team, and we've looked at the dependencies. Okay, we can on the program board confirm that a certain feature is planned in a certain sprint. So, and you will also show the dependencies on that program board. So in a high level nutshell, that is in practice how you do program planning. We will come back to that in the exercise, but the next question is, yeah, okay, but now we have COVID, a lot of people are working online. On the slide, I was talking about teams that are sitting usually in a room, but how do you do that online? Well, obviously the first thing that's done is that you give every team their separate room so they can discuss internally and work internally. So these are the green boxes that are added to the slide. If we're looking for a tool to plan in stories, in sprints, and in backlogs, we can quickly look at Jira. Jira software, that's a market leader actually in Agile and Scrum planning. Some of you, probably most of you already used it, so let me know in the chat or just with your microphone if you are using it already. All right, don't be shy. You can let me know afterwards. But then you have it at team level. And if you want to consolidate it at program level, and that's what this webinar is about, you want to have a program board that is online, integrated with Jira. So for that, we will take a look at Ativo Agile Programs for Jira, which is a quite recent, quite new solution for that. And I will give you a demo of the configuration before we start with exercise. I will show you how the configuration is done, how the data is living, and then you can log in and we'll do some exercises together to see how we can do this planning practically. We'll switch screens. Okay, so here we are in Jira. So you see at the top level navigation bar. The first thing I will show you is actually the feature backlog. That's what I was talking about first on slide number 5. The top left, you have this thing called a feature backlog or an epic backlog, whatever you call it. So in Jira, we can easily implement it by creating simply a project which contains epics, and we create a Kanban board for it with multiple columns to do in progress done. That's the basic, but usually it's something that has much more columns. For example, a column that says, okay, the feature is ready to be planned in the next PI, or the feature has been released. These kinds of columns that are usually added, and it's also something that's quite dynamic and changes often. So if you're already using Jira, this is not new for you, so I will go quickly over it. What we've also created for this exercise, we've created 40 different projects. You will see them here. And each project, it represents a separate team you will be working with. And for example, here we have team line 9. We have called the line teams 1 to 20 and the rabbit teams 1 to 20. And what you see here, if you already use Jira, often this is again not new for you. What we see here is the backlog of a team with the different sprints. You see sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3. We've created 3 sprints in each of the different projects, and a backlog of stories that are estimated with story points and that are linked or part, better said, of a specific feature. The feature that we saw just earlier. So we're talking about these features that have stories under it. So that's the configuration of the data in Jira itself. And if we take a look in the application Ativo Agile Programs for Jira, I will show you that I will first select a team. I will show you the list of teams that we've created. So what we have actually done simply is to say, okay, for each Jira project, we've created a team. For example, Rabbit 6, it's linked to a Jira project with the key RAP6. So these are all the teams we will be working with. So each and every one of you will have 2 teams. And the programs that are created, they're configured here. No, not yet. Just refresh a bit. I've created, for those who entered early, I've already created some programs with your name on it. So that's the program you will be working with. So for example, for FOLA, you will have this program. It has one feature list, so that's not just one feature, it's a whole project, Jira project with multiple features in it, so that's your feature list. And these are the two teams you will be working with, Lion 1 and Rabbit 1. I will create, just in a minute, I will rename the other program, so you will each have your own program. So that's also created. And lastly, what we've created as well is simply a program increment or a period, as it's called in the tool. And that program increment or period, it has three sprints. So we have sprint 1, we have sprint 2, and we have sprint 3, and they're linked to the sprints that we saw earlier. So that's the data that we will use. And now I would like to invite you to click on the login link that you received in the email. Let me know in the chat if you haven't received it, so you can log in and we can start playing around in the tool. So I'll give you a minute to open it, and in the meantime, I will create some other programs for those who just joined. So I will do that live. So Reggie, you have already one. Matt has one. Alexandru, I will create program 5, rename it for you. Program 5, Alexandru. Voila. So in the meantime, you can click on the link. Wojtek, you have network issues. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm recording it and I will send you a link. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to come back. Thanks. Okay, Fola, I think you already have a program created for you. And then we have also Juan. I will create rename program 6 for you. So that's your program you can use for this session. Okay, each of you should have your own program. So don't hesitate to ask questions if you have questions. So I'll go back to the exercises, to the slide deck. And the first exercise I would like you to do, to invite you to do, is to simply log in, click in the top level navigation at programs, and then in the top left navigation, click on the program that has your name on it, and you can select the period. So it's 2020 Q4. I'll just give you a few moments for that. Let me know if you have logged in or if you have issues to log in. And you can use the chat as well if you want. I've also enabled you that you're able to talk, so don't hesitate to enable your microphone if you want to ask something or say something. Okay. So who of you has already logged in? If you can let me know. Okay, Matt, great, thanks. Alexander, we hear a bit of music, so maybe I will mute you, or you wanted to say something? All right. Okay, let's take a look at the main interface. I will go back to the presentation. So what we see here is actually at the top. You see the programs that are defined. So we have 20 programs that are running in parallel. The period at this moment we've just defined Q4 2020, and then there's 3 tabs we will see later today. The main views that we have: the cycle view, the planning view and the progress view. And then we have some short links that can be very handy if you're working in a program. The first one, it's a link to the feature list of the program. And the second one, it's to the two teams that are part of the program. So normally, Matt, if you would click on it, for example, you would see Lion Tree and Rabbit Tree if you click on the teams. And if you click further on it, you will go directly to the backlog. And then we have the settings, as I showed you before. But to save time, and because this is a webinar and not a training, of course, we've already prepared the configuration. So if we take a look at the cycle, this is what we see in the main screen. First, we can again select a program and a period, and we just see some key metrics about the data that we have behind that. So we see, okay, there's two teams in the program. We see there's 3 sprints in that period, and there's those sprints that are closed, and that's logic because we will do the program planning. We also see that we have 0 features at this moment in the period. That will be the first exercise. After that, if you follow the arrows, there will be the planning and the delivery. And this view actually gives you a high-level view of the state of your programs at this moment. And it can help you in the coaching of the Scrum Masters and of the team members to say, okay, to go further in the program planning and in the progress. So I will then invite you to go to the first exercise. So that's the second exercise, sorry, exercise 2. And I would like you to add some features. We're imagine that we're in the last days before the actual program planning days, and we want to select, or the business want to select, the features that will be planned in the next program increment or in the next period. And to do that, first of all, we will click, or you will click on Plan in the left navigation bar, and then in the top navigation, you can add features. And what you see here are the teams that are part of your program with the different sprints, and then there's then there's also an unplanned column. So that's to actually indicate to say, okay, this feature, it will be owned by that team, but I haven't planned it in yet, which is useful to indicate which team will prepare and do breakdown, for example, of the stories, and which team will coordinate the dependencies and take the lead. I think that's a best practice. And also the backlog of all the features, but that are specifically selected for the current program increment, because usually you might have, for example, a list of 500 features, and you don't want to show them all 500 in the program planning exercise. You just want to say, okay, we will work on 50 features. So if you click on Add Features, you will be able to select the features from the list that you want to add to the current program planning. So what I would invite you to do is click on feature 1 to 5, because those have we've already prepared with some data for you. So you can do that. And of course, afterwards you click on Add, and we will take 5 minutes for that. Okay. Okay, so Matt, if you could click on Add Features and select, it's the bottom 5 features. Select those features, and then click on Add. You will see they will appear in the screen. So I'll give you a minute. Alexandru, Fola, Reggie, and Juan, are you still following actively, logging in, or are you just following on the screen? That's also okay, but just to let me know, because I'm checking as well to see if you need help. Yeah, Raji, you're following. That's perfect. No problem. Okay. Okay, of course. And Juan, you're good. Thanks. Okay. So I assume with that you're following on the screen. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to Matt. Then Matt, you have the pressure on you, I think, because most of them are watching you, but that's okay. Great. So they're added. So that's actually actually how we select features from a long list and add them. It's one of the ways we can do it. The other way, and you will see that on slide 11, if you click on Add Feature, you can actually create a feature, and that will create an epic behind the scenes. It will also create an epic in the Jira system, and it will add it to the board. So I will invite you to choose a name of a feature you would like to add. So again, it's by clicking on Add Features, and instead of the Add tab, we have the Create tab, where you can choose any name. So you can type my new feature, for example, and click on Add. Yeah, Matt's new feature. All right, great. That's looking good. So now that let's assume, so this is the preparation for the PI so far. Let's assume we're starting the PI planning, and the teams are planning in the stories in the sprint. So once they've planned in the stories, what I would do is to go to the program board, if it's a physical board normally, and say, okay, this feature, yeah, we've planned it in and we know it's in that sprint. So how we do it in the digital program board, it's simply by dragging and dropping the features to one of the sprints of the different teams. So again, we're working with two teams here, Lion 3 and Rabbit 3, that all have three sprints. So we can assign an epic or a feature to a sprint. So I'll give you a moment. You can choose whatever sprint you want to use. Yeah, I see you're already adding features. Good. All right, they're planned in. Great. So before we will go further with the dependencies, it's what you see on this screen already, on my screen. The first thing that we'll discover further is to talk about commitments, risks, and issues, because in I'm sorry, in SAFe, you can commit features to a certain level. You can say, okay, the features, the team says, okay, the feature is committed, or it's a stretch objective feature, and or uncommitted as it's called now in SAFe 5. So that's one thing that we can assign in the tool. And what we will do for that is to click on the details tab in the top navigation bar. So you can click on that, Matt and everyone who is following. And you will see that we have different options then for all the features. And so the first thing you can do, you don't have to do it for every feature, of course, but just for one, is to choose a commitment level. And the two most obvious ones is either committed or stretch, which means uncommitted. The other four, those are for, again, we want to promote change. If we change after the PI, we add feature or we remove features, we're also able to track that with the other options, but we will not use them, of course, during the PI session itself. So I'll invite you to update it. The commitment level, yeah, committed, great. And then under it, you see a red, amber, green level. That's something that you will use, or the team members will use very often after the PI, but to say, okay, this feature is still going well, it's green, or no, there's a major risk, or there's already an impediment or an issue. No, we give it an amber color, or yeah, it's blocked and it needs attention from other teams, red. So that's what we use here. During the PI session, it's also already possible and common to tag some features as amber to say, okay, the team can say, okay, this feature, we plan it in, we've estimated it in, so and we can commit to it or not. but it's planned in, but we have already an important risk that we want to raise with a new technology, for example, or other reasons. And so the way we do that is actually to tag it as Amber then already during the PI. So in the demo data that was loaded in, you see that it's already on Amber, and we can add a description of the risk or issue in the text under it. So feature 8 or feature 5 chatbot extensions already has some text, so maybe Matt, you can change it, or you can use another feature and add, change the color and add some text to indicate a risk or issue. Yeah, so I see this one is green. It's changed to green. Matt's new feature. Red may not have enough resources. Yeah, that's something that you heard of course you hear often in a project program. So great, that's how we tag features, a bit like we would do if you have a physical board and you add a red post-it on it to say, okay, here's a major impediment. In the same way, in the digital world, we can tag it by clicking on details. So if you click the details again away and you click on refresh, Matt, the system will look for dependencies. And this is, I think, something that's quite good in this tool. It can detect dependencies itself, cross-team dependencies itself, simply by seeing if a feature owned by one team has stories under it from another team. So what you see here is that we have feature 2 India customization and feature 3-11, which has a dependency on a story of another team, Lion 3, update legal terms. So you see that here, and it's automatically detected. And what you could do actually is to drag and drop the feature to the Lion team, and you will see that this dependency disappears, because then, so I invite you to do that, to drag and drop it to the column above. The system will see, okay, the story and the feature, they're in the same team, so it's not a cross-team dependency. Yeah, so that's great. You can put it back if you want, or let's see, feature 1, yeah. You can drag and drop feature 1 or the other feature 2 again to the second team. So we can take a closer look at the dependency. Yeah, great. So here you see the dependency that's automatically detected. So what we can do is to drag and drop dependencies in sprints. That's possible. And of course, we can drag and drop the feature as well, because what we see here is that there's a story that has a dependency with a feature, but the story is planned in sprint 3 and the feature in sprint 1, which will obviously never work, because the feature will never be ready if the story is not ready. So the proper thing to do here is either plan the feature in sprint 3 or if Team Lion can confirm, yeah, we can already deliver it in sprint 1 or sprint 2 or an earlier sprint. So you can drag and drop the story a bit earlier and the feature a bit later. Matt, to see if we can resolve that timing issue. So yeah, they're in the same sprint now. So that's of course possible. Okay, good. So that's how the system identifies cross-team dependency, but we can also add them manually, because we can say, if you click on add dependency, we can say, okay, we have a feature, whatever feature we choose. And there's a dependency with a story. So we can choose a story to our liking. You can choose a story, and the system will give a warning if the feature and the story, they're in the same team, because obviously if they're in the same team, it's not a dependency between multiple teams. It's not a cross-team dependency. And at program level, we don't want to manage the details of a team. We want to manage the features and the cross-team dependencies and the issues and the risks, and not I would say, details that are managed and owned by teams. So if we choose a feature that is owned by Team Rabbit, for example, a story of Team Lion, and add it. It could show on the board. So I'll give you time to choose it. Just let me know, Matt, which story you're picking, because there's one thing, of course, in order not to show and flood the whole program board, it's currently showing the stories that are planned in. So if it's not planned in yet in a sprint, it will not show at the program board until it's planned in the dependency. Okay, that's a detail we can come back afterwards on it once the story is planned in a sprint. A second way to add a dependency is actually to create a new one. So we don't want to pick an existing story, but we want to say, okay, we have a feature, we choose a feature, and we will add a dependency as a story. So a new story, you can give whatever name you want to it. Select a team. So if the feature is owned by one team, the dependency should be in the other team. If not, it will give a warning. And select a sprint in which you want to show it. So again, it's by clicking on Add Dependency, then on Create, and then filling in the feature and the story details. So for those of you who have the slide deck open, we're on slide 17, exercise, part of exercise 4. Yeah, you've added the story as a dependency. So it shows on the board, and again, we see that the story is planned after the feature, which is something obviously that we want to mitigate. So there again, Matt, if you could, if you want, to drag and drop the feature to a later sprint or the story to an earlier sprint. Yeah, great. So this is how we add dependencies, which again, as I said in the introduction, is something quite important to visualize, because we will come back later to it. When you follow up the program plan, the execution, it's something that you want to keep a close eye on if the team dependencies are respected, and if there's issues and there need to be prioritization, that you can clearly see, okay, we have these dependencies, and dear business, please choose which one we need to prioritize. So that's about the dependencies. There is someone saying something, Alexandru. No, you're connecting. Okay. And of course, this is how we plan in the features and dependencies. At the end, if you want to have an overview, you can click on the third tab on progress. And then there's two options, the total, which gives you the total for the whole program without the cross-team dependencies, or a per team view, which is a visual that you can use at the end of the PI planning to present the current planning per team. So if you open it, so for your program, there's two teams. That's what you see here. At the top, this is the first team, Team Lion. 3, and then at the bottom we have Team Rabbit. And then per team, there's a dashboard with at the top left summary of the issues and risks. At the top right, the metrics in story points, and at the bottom, the sprints with the features and cross-team dependencies in it. So looking closer at the features, so what we see here are the colors that were given to the features, and that's very useful, because when you present at the end of the program planning or during the Scrum or Scrums or ArtSync, when you want to have a view of the progress of the team, you don't want to go into all the details of the things that go well. Huh? You quickly want to see what's the global progress, what is going well very quickly, and then focus on the impediments, issues, and risks that you really want to discuss. So with the color codes, it's easy to focus on the issues and risks that need to be discussed in the Scrum of Scrums or ArtSync for an efficient meeting. The same can be done for the dependencies. By the way, we haven't colored it, but it can be given the same way as a feature, a color, and then we can focus on that as well. So that's the top left. At the bottom, what we see here are the sprints with the different features that are planned into it. So we have the big boxes are the features. We have feature 5, for example, with 46 story points that was committed, and it was planned in sprint 1. And we have another feature, 21.5 story points, that was planned in sprint 2, a third feature in sprint 2, and a fourth feature planned in sprint 3. We see the color codes, and if we hover over it, it will show also the risk or issue that is raised to it. And what we see here is actually cross-team dependency. In the planning, those are visualized as chords, huh? And if you would click, you don't have to do that. If you would click on it, you would see the dependencies visually between the teams. You can enable and disable it, but in the progress part, it would be not very helpful to have a lot of chords here. So actually they're visualized by simply stating the feature at the top and the dependency, cross-team dependency below it. So we see again that we have a story of one team, of Team Lion, that is linked and contributing to a feature of Team Rabbit. So that's what we see here, and we see the name of the feature. Any questions on that so far from Matt or the people that are following? Okay, and then we go to the metrics. So what we see here are the sprints horizontally and vertically, the story points. And we have a view actually at the end of the program planning where we see the status, the total amount of story points that are planned in, 34, and the total amount of story points that are committed, 25.5 story points. And if someone in the team asks, yeah, but these 34 story points, what is it? If you click on it, it will actually give you the details, and it will either say, okay, it's computed simply by taking all the story points under the feature, of the stories under the feature, or what we also can do is to specify the story points at feature level. So usually you would do it with the stories that are under the feature. So that's what we see at the end of the program planning. Now what I will do is to to assume that the first sprint is finished. So I will click here on finish. And if we go back and you can click, Matt, on refresh at the top right, so you will see it as well. You will see the another line that is added, the amount of story points that are added. And at this moment, we don't have any stories that are finished. So I will help you there, Matt, and quickly finish a story. So put it in progress. And I will put it in done, the story. So if we come back to the board, we see that this story is closed. It has been, there is a horizontal strike through on it, which is a standard way in Jira to say that the story is closed. You see in the dependencies as well that it's closed. And you see in the metrics as well that it has been completed and it counts for the actuals. And what you see here then in green is actually a forecast line to say, okay, if we keep the same velocity or if the team keeps the same velocity, probably after 3 sprints, they will end somewhere around 5 or 10 story points. So if we planned in 34 story points and the team delivers only 5 story points at the end, we clearly see that there could be an issue. So this metrics, it gives a forecast, or it helps to give a forecast per team to say, okay, is the team on track to deliver the stories and features that are planned in, or is it lagging, or is it going behind? I will go to another, show you another setup, which is a bit more complex. So if you have more data, of course, more stories are closed. This is what it could look like. So you don't only have a linear forecast in gray, which is, I will close a bit, close a few colors. Voila. So you have multiple lines. You have the gray line, which is the average line with the average sprint velocity. You have a green line, which is the fastest sprint velocity that the team had so far, and the red or amber line, which is the slowest sprint velocity. So this gives you a region, a forecasted region at the end, after at the end of the period, where the team could be if they keep their velocity, if they keep the fastest sprint velocity, if they have their average sprint velocity or the lowest. And you can then compare it with the plan, the blue line, for example. So you see in this example that the team is quite well on track to deliver the stories in time. Or you can even compare it with the purple line, which is the line with the committed totals, because sometimes a team can say, yeah, okay, we will not be able to deliver the feature that was risky, but we can deliver the stories and features that we committed to. And that's actually what this purple line is saying. And that will help you as well, this visual then, to see again, to see that they could be able to deliver it. It's not there to forecast the future because that's of course very difficult, but it gives some level of predictability, and it also gives you as a program manager the tools to ask questions. If a team is, for example, doing like projected here, as a program manager, if they say, yeah, everything is on track, you can ask questions and say, yeah, okay, but if you keep the current velocity, you would end up only with 6 story points, and ask them for more explanations and drill down a bit further. Same with the features. You see here, I will go a bit below. So you see here, for example, this feature has 2 story points that are delivered. So if at the end of sprint 1, it has 2 story points delivered, but still 3 story points open, and it's planned in sprint 1, obviously that's not possible. So you can ask a question and say, yeah, the feature is in sprint 1, but it's scheduled, it's not completed yet. So again, this helps you to visualize the progress and to ask questions in a lean and agile way. So that is actually what I wanted to share with you very quickly to show you this overview. Do you have any questions so far? Matt, were you able to follow also the last, were you able to see as well the progress visuals that I was sharing on my screen? Yes, all right, great.
Yeah, this is my first time of using Jira, and it's a landmark. Let me know how it goes, and yeah, I'm trying to grab here and there, how it flows and stuff like that.
Fola, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm having difficulties to understand you. If you could talk a bit closer to your microphone, because it's very difficult to hear you. So if you can talk a bit louder or closer to your microphone, I don't think I'm able to increase it.
Can you hear me now?
Slightly, still difficult, but yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, first I want to thank you for this presentation, and I want to say this is my first time of using Jira, and it's
Okay.
starting with you. So yeah, it's been interesting so far. I've learned a few things, but all I just need to do is just to get myself more familiar with how to move around the features, move around, it helps me a lot with in forecasting how the project will look like if they keep a standard velocity. It shows a lot, but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to, grab some
Thanks.
information. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Great, because we're here focusing on the program level. What I've skipped is the story at the team level. So Jira has even much more functionality that we didn't cover today. For example, the reports where you can see the sprint velocity per team also there, where you can have burn-up charts, where you can have control charts as well to measure, for example, the time a story takes to go through from to do to done. So you can add lean KPIs or metrics on that as well. But that's all not part of this this webinar, but that's I think also that these are things that you can discover afterwards. And we're only covering the program plugin here, but Jira has around 4,000 different plugins and plugin applications that you can use. Jira and Confluence, the whole Atlassian suite have 4,000. So there's much to discover. Thanks for your question and remark.
You're welcome.
Other questions? From Juan, thank you. I've been using Jira only at Scrum level, and it's good to have this program view. I'll practice with the material they give you provide us. Yes, I will do that. And that's maybe something that I would like to share as well. So I will go back to the slides. So you all have a login, which is for the webinar. We will keep it still activated for a few more hours, probably till tomorrow, but we'll deactivate it afterwards for security reasons. So if you want to continue your learning experience, what you could do is actually to get a free trial. There's possibility to get a 1 month free trial of the plugin in Jira. If you simply click on this link or the link that's in the email, it will guide you to the right location to start that trial, and so you can use it yourself. And maybe what I want to share there as well is some testimonials of a previous client I worked with Cindy and Laura, and they used it in the program planning, and they used it as well in the Art Sync and Scrum of Scrums. Cindy is from IT and Laura is from the business, and they were quite happy, very happy with the views that they have that they were missing at the beginning when they started implementing SAFe. And they were quite excited about for example, the progress per feature, the issues and risks that are clearly identified, so they know what they have to handle on the dependencies if Laura needs to take a decision on priorities. So that's an experience that I said I would share here as well. So if you're interested to learn more, you can do so by getting a free trial. Thanks, Juan. Okay. Other questions or feedback, remarks? Okay, we can end the webinar here. If there's a question afterwards, don't hesitate to contact me. But if we stop now, we're nicely on time as well. So thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. And let's stay in touch. And thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great evening if you're in Europe, and a great afternoon if you're in joining from the United States or America. Thank you. Yeah, have a great day.